Hey, this is La Fiebre.
And stay tuned for
Bumper Wacky Wednesday.
San Antonio, the town that I love, and its people I so much adore. With its fiestas where we come to party, celebrating the peace and the love. Where the people always are welcome when they visit from home or abroad. We appreciate all of the races. San Antonio's a blessing to all. San Antonio, my beloved city, its parades and Grand Market Square. San Antonio, my beloved city, with its river walk and all its flair. San Antonio, my beloved city, with its missions and beautiful art. San Antonio, city, where the people will capture your heart, where the people will capture your heart. San Antonio, mi pueblo adorado, con su gente de gran corazón y sus fiestas de mucha alegría, celebramos la paz y el amor. Bienvenidos son los extranjeros que visitan a nuestra nación. Apreciamos a todas las razas. San Antonio es una bendición. San Antonio, mi pueblo adorado, sus desfiles y su gran mercado. San Antonio, mi pueblo querido, nos invita al paseo del río. San Antonio, mi pueblo adorado, sus misiones y gran catedral. San Antonio, mi pueblo querido, sus escuelas de clase mundial, sus escuelas de clase mundial, sus escuelas de clase mundial.
Wacky Wednesday.
It's Wacky Wednesday con El Bumper.
Unfiltered, the real deal. No pre-planning, no chingaderas. Straight up from the Ville.
Wacky Wednesday.
B-Town's very own.
It's Wacky Wednesday con El Bumper.
Here's your host, Bumper Gomez.
Wacky Wednesday.
And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Bumper's Wacky Wednesday, live from the studio right here in San Antonio, Texas. What a beautiful, beautiful night you guys are in store for this evening. It is a complete honor and a privilege to be able to do what I do for Nuestra Onda, right? For what we talk about every week, the Tejano music industry, the conjunto, the Texas country, everything having to do with our cultura, and we do it right here on Bumpers Wacky Wednesday. It means everything to me. I want to give a big saludos to everybody in the Chicago area, to everybody who showed up this weekend. I did a cannonball run to Chicago to do an event for Midwest Conjunto Promotion. Shout out to Tiger Tigre Signs. Put an amazing show there in West Chicago. I had a blast. The people from the Midwest always open me with welcome arms, with open arms, right? And it was great, man. It's always great to return to the Midwest. And I want to thank Stevie and his beautiful wife for hosting me and bringing me up there to Chicago. On my way there, man, I'm telling you, if you ever want to meet some Tejano artists, show up to the airport about 4 o'clock in the morning on a Friday or a Saturday, and you're sure to run into artists. So I left Saturday morning. I ran in saludos to Los Palominos, Mike Aguilar, Los Palominos. I ran into the guys, got to talk to them for a little bit. And then 5 minutes later, AJ Castillo shows up with his whole band. So shout out to AJ Castillo. And then, of course, I'm traveling with Tony Tigre Signs. And then we get to Chicago, and then we're coming back. And then at the same gate, I have AJ Castillo coming back with me. And then the gate over, Jesse Turner and Grupo Signo are there. So they're looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, dude, you're everywhere. So for those of you who doubt that me and Eddie love Tejano music and we're not out and about supporting and doing what we can for our industry, well, I'm here to tell you you're wrong, because we're all over the place. So again, man, I just want to give a lot of love to the Midwest and thank them for welcoming with open arms. And it's always a blast when I'm there. Well, tonight is very special to me. It is the second time that I've had the honor and privilege of sitting down with somebody of this stature. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I mean that from the bottom of my soul. It is something that's very important to me. It's something that my mom and my dad instilled in me at a young age, whether they realized it or not. Whether they realized it or not, they instilled, who we were, the music, and how important it was to us. So I want to thank them, my mom and my dad. And today has been 10 years that my dad has passed away. Has left this earth. So I know he's shining down tonight, and he's like, dang, you got the king of the brown sound right next to you, right? So I'm sure he's shining down, and he's pretty excited about tonight, as excited as me and Eddie are. So welcome. If this is your first time watching, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We greatly appreciate if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. If you would subscribe, like, share, do all those things, we would greatly appreciate it. If you're watching on Facebook, just share the feed. You can make somebody's evening. If those of you that are still, maybe you're caring for your parents, right? Or maybe you're caring for your grandparents, and maybe they're doing something. Maybe they're sitting outside just watching the cars go by. Go get them. Go get them from the porch and put them in front of the TV, because it's important for them to be here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to introduce to you guys my guest this evening. The man, the myth, the legend, the king of the brown sound, Mr. Little Joe.
Oh, wow, man. You're going to make me cry. No llore, chingon.
Yeah, mama. And ladies and gentlemen, yes, that is not a Quita Penas bottle. I am with a very distinct tequila drinker. And for the record, I did offer him. We did start off with a shot of Quita Penas, and he gave me the look like, hey, that was good, but I drink tequila. And so, so the next thing that we had was a bottle Patron. So here it is. I've told you guys before, those of you that are real close to me, a lot of people, they've always said, Little Joe, I always wanted to be able to, do something with Little Joe. I said, well, I don't do that, but I do drink tequila, and I know he drinks tequila. So the fact that we're able to have some tequila tonight with you guys, super, super cool, man. So welcome to the show, Joe. Welcome, man.
Bumper, thank you so very much for that incredible and wonderful interview. I mean, You said, welcome to a live show. Well, some of us are alive, some of us half alive. But thank you for the incredible introduction.
Yes, sir.
And yes, I have been here before. I'm guilty. And you left the door open, so I snuck in.
Yeah, no, literally, ladies and gentlemen, he's not exaggerating. Me and Eddie, we get in here, we start moving stuff around because every week is it's a different show. Sometimes we have more artists, and we don't touch the studio until 2 hours before the next show of the next week. So we were picking up from last week. Salutes to the Conjunto Cats, and the door just opens up and. Hey, well, it's just little Joe. I mean, he can come in. He made himself at home.
Well, of course. Nobody would open the door for me because I'm here early. I opened it myself.
No. So, ladies and gentlemen, little Joe is punctual. Just for you guys to know, he is very punctual. He was here the earliest out of any artist we've ever had in 5 years of doing Bumpers Wacky Wednesday. So, thank you, Joe, for being
You're ruining my reputation, brother. But you've got the hook.
Oh, my goodness.
You got patron. And you knew I was going to show up early.
No, for sure, for sure. No, it's a privilege and an honor to have you here.
Thank you,
Joe. And I was telling Eddie before you got here, like I don't get nervous, but I do get nervous in my own way. To have somebody like you that's been through you've seen the industry from its humble beginnings to what it is today. You've been through it all. I think sometimes when you're living in that, you forget that.
You're correct. And I've seen a lot, and I've been touring for 63 years. I first recorded as a guitarist. I didn't sing. I wanted to play guitar. I wanted to be a jazz guitarist. You know, I blew that, so I hired a real guitarist. But yes, I've seen the industry go through many changes. And what is not funny about that, but some people, it takes a while for people to adjust because some people, they're still asking for 8 tracks. And fortunately, I have some.
So you have an 8-track player at home?
I sell in and everything. No. No,
You
but
got them for sale. You have them for sale. There you go.
But yeah, when I first started recording, my first recording it was under the name David Coronado and the Latiners, who put the band together, who was my cousin, maybe 3 years older than the rest of the other 3 kids, which the band was made up of Jacinto Moreno on drums, Tony Matamoros on saxophone, and David Coronado saxophone as well. And I played guitar. And we recorded, and as a matter of fact, I know this guy's kind of shy, but he's got the best Little Joe stories in the world. Tony Matamoros, who I nicknamed the Foreman, and I swear I forget his real name at times, and I call him Foreman. And the reason I did that is when it became Little Joe and the Latiners, I needed somebody to manage the Ruly guys, so I made him Foreman.
Wow.
And Mayordomo.
Tony, you were that guy. You were the hammer.
Yes, sir. But our first recording, and it's such an incredible circle of life, man. It's just so amazing. Sunday night, I was in Victoria playing an outdoor concert at the plaza there.
Frank Salazar.
Yes, Frank.
Yes, sir.
Frank was
Salutes
the
to Frank
promoter.
Salazar.
And there at the plaza is a gazebo in the middle of the little park, the plaza. And the first time I played Victoria, Mr. Manuel Villafranca booked the show. It was 1957, 68 years ago, man. 68 years ago. And I started to tell the story. And his family was there, his kids, which are like my nephews and nieces. And it was 1957. By 1958, I opened up for Isidro Lopez at the Westerner that belonged, and operated by Mr. Villafranca. And the stage was too small, so of course, Isidro took the whole stage, and we played on the floor.
Wow.
the four kids, and we rocked the house because I weighed about 99 pounds at the time, and Tony and David were able to lift me up. I was playing guitar, and they put me on. I stand on their shoulders, and a little monkey. I thought.
Tony, would you let him do it now? Wow, man.
So Mr. Villafranca saw something in these kids, and he sponsored the first recording for David Coronado and the Latin Heirs, 1958, Torero Records in Corpus Christi. And we didn't have a bass player, but they brought in a local musician, I forget the last name, a family of musicians, real talented people. And he brought an upright, but we recorded in the studio of the radio station, in la cabina where you do the and reel to reel, a little, those little recording machines they had back then, from reel to reel, man, and recorded Safari Part 1 and Part 2. Bumper, if you listen to that recording, it sounds like it was recorded here lately with the new, all this new
All
technology.
the digital stuff that they have.
It's so amazing. But we were talking about things that I've seen and done, and that was amazing. People don't know any longer what acetates are. That's where the
records.
Yeah, they cut the records from the acetate. And from there, David Coronado was real talented. And like I said, about 3 years older than the rest of the kids. And it's funny because Tony is September, I'm October. Actually, Sino, the drummer, is August, and we're the same age, a month apart. August, Tony, September, me, October. It was a good year in 1940, so they tell me. So David, real talented kid, man. He played guitar, bass, and saxophone, alto saxophone. And he got on with Frank Zappa. He went to Walla Walla, Washington. And so I said, well, I was singing, like fronting the band, and it became Little Joe and the Latin Heirs. One, I was little, and one of my best friends, Big Joe, played football and boxes, and we always hung out together. So it was Big Joe and Little Joe.
So that's where the name comes from?
Actually, from being distinguishing the Joes, but back then it was Little Richard, Little Willie John, Little Anthony and the Imperials, Little Stevie Wonder, all the littles in the world, man.
So you added it. I'm Little Joe.
I just fit in, Little Joe and the Latin Heirs. So Foreman and I drive to San Antonio, and we recorded on a little tape machine as well, a couple of songs. And we drove to San Antonio, and we got to town, and I see a phone booth. I pull over, look to the yellow pages, recordings. Corona Records. I call Corona Records, and I get an answer. Oh, forgive me, I forget his name. At my age, I'm happy to remember my name. But
oh, goodness.
But I told him, my name's Joe Hernandez, and I'm from Temple, Texas, and I'm here trying to find a recording company that will audition me, blah, blah, blah. He said, well, come on up. And Flores and Commerce, on the corner of Flores and Commerce. There was, I guess, a building still there, but on the second floor, a big empty warehouse room. Of course, we spoke and everything, and he agreed that he would record me on Corona Records. So he took a liking to us, and was a very kind gentleman, and set up one microphone hanging from the ceiling, one mic, and he adjusted the kids, us, around the microphone, dale gas. And I recorded Por un Amor there, Little Girl of My Dreams. I wrote Little Girl of My Dreams, And my brother Jesse, who died in a car accident later, wrote Ramona. And then I had two songs that my dad had written, Correo del West and Ciruelito. So I started my recording career bilingual in English and Spanish at the same time, right here in San Antonio, Corona Records.
That's great. That's. I mean, maybe a lot of you don't know that. You think of Little Joe and you think of just all the hits that we grew up with, but to know that you started off doing English and Spanish from the get go.
Yeah.
And here's people who spend their whole careers just hoping to cross over and do something in English. And Little Joe started. He did it. He said, "Hey, screw it. I'm gonna start it right now."
Well,
you know what I mean?
I was doing what I normally did. Some nights it'd be an all black little beer joint. Some nights it'd be all honky. all gabachos.
All bolillos.
All bolillos. But in the midst of all that, I throw in some freak them out, man.
Oh my goodness!
And then, of course, I do the Chicano shows. But we'd play wherever they let us or paid us. But it was three kids, man. After David left, it was a guitar, a saxophone, and drums.
And what are you, about 19, Joe? This time?
Well, all through the 17, 18, 19. 1960, 61 when I came to San Antonio. I was 21 by then. I was a veteran then. I was pretty much all used up by then.
Joe, one thing that I admire about you is, and we're going to talk a little bit about it tonight. I know everybody loves Little Joe and they love the music, but you guys don't realize what he has done for our cultura, what he's done for our people. And I think sometimes the music always overlooks that. But I'm here to remind you guys, right? Because that's what we do on Wacky Wednesday. We keep Tejano relevant. I want to remind you guys what he's done, right? He's been an actor. He's been a priest in a movie. He's been, he's done it all, man. And he's been around. But, Joe, the thing, I had Ruben here not too long ago. And the thing that I admire the most is your upbringing. Your upbringing that our kids, our grandkids can't even fathom. They couldn't even fathom the amount of work you guys did as children, right? As young teenagers growing up, picking cotton all over Texas, going to campos all over the place. There was a different life back then.
Altogether. And, the racism. And, for me, as a kid, experiencing all that, I'm pretty much, I don't give a damn guy, it's like, everything's good, everything's cool. If I don't like a place, I leave, or, I don't want to be uncomfortable in any one place. But what burns me and hurts me will always, what my parents had to go through. The humiliation, the racism, the segregation, all that, they had to survive that. And my dad, is an incredible little guy, but in many cases, he had to succumb to, maybe not abuses, but just, because the family had to look after the family.
Yeah.
I don't know if you read the book, No Llore Chingon, an American story of the Little Joe, and the book starts with my dad's story, his history. He arrived in Texas in 1912. He was 8 years old. And what he went through as a kid to survive with his parents, La Revolución ran him out of the country. When I read that, and he wrote a lot of his life story, and I was fortunate to have the first part, which I included in the book. But all he did, to survive, all the hustle as a kid, make things happen. And so looking back at all these years, I was a little confused in there because he got busted in 1954. I was 14 years old. And in 1955, 54, he couldn't leave the state. So he drove me, my mom, a couple of the kids, and una tia, and un tío y tía, who drove separately to Altus, Oklahoma, and left us there. And I was in charge, of my family. And I didn't have a license, of course, at 14. But my dad worked for Santa Fe almost 30 years, Santa Fe Railroad. So he knew how the trains worked. So he'd catch free rides. And when he dropped us off in Altus, he caught a free ride, train, Santa Fe, the temple. And when it was time to come back, catch a free ride.
Right
temple.
back all the way back. Wow.
And so it was 1954. And in 1955, he went off to prison, and I had 6 siblings to look after. But all these years, I would think, why did my dad, an experienced man like he was, why did he put this kid in charge? A 14-year-old kid in another state out in Las Arenales, it's all red sand. We were working the farm. And my mom and my tia that was with us and a couple of siblings, why would he put a kid like that in charge? So there was always like in the back of my mind. But when I read his story that I included in the opening of the book, the realization all just hit me. It's like, well, hell, what that did was nothing compared to what he had to do.
Yeah.
And to me, I've had so many blessings. I am a really lucky guy. Sometimes I even laugh at myself because I'm in a hurry and I'm looking for parking and there's no parking. There's parking. I'm lucky. My guitarist, Bob Gallarza, would say, damn, Joe, man, we're running late to the airport and the flight is delayed.
That's the kind of luck you have.
I swear, man, I've just been super, super lucky. And I wish I had time to just tell you about all the wonderful things that have happened. But I'm a great believer in the things of natural, No puedes plantar cebollas and expect tomatoes, You reap what you sow, brother. Just like, I mean, to me, that just makes sense.
No, for sure.
So reading my dad's story, what he wrote, what he had to go through, I thought, no, man, what I did was nothing, So that was, like I said, I realized what had happened there. But I would not change anything in my life, man. Maybe yes, I'll take it back. I would have gone to school, at least to high school and gotten a proper education. But, sometimes in losing one thing, you gain another.
Yeah.
We don't know. But music has been incredible for me. It's taken me around the world. I've done 3 tours in Europe, 3 in Japan. I've been blessed with playing the American Embassy in London, England. And there's a kid that's running the sound from Corpus Christi, Chicanito.
Telling the other guys, I guarantee you guys don't know who this guy is, right? Because the guy's like, Little Joe, I don't know. Okay, cool, whatever. But the Chicanito from Corpus Christi, you got no idea who this guy is.
I know, man. It's like, and, Mexico City, a couple of years ago, we played the 4th of July Fiesta Americana at the American Embassy in Mexico City as well. Just people that have known in the politics for so many years, that they wanted to have me there. And blessed, like one of the most advanced building in the world is in Kumamoto, Japan. And they were working on it when I first went on my first tour. And Mayor Tajiri was very close to Mayor Cisneros. And when he'd come to San Antonio to visit, I'd get an invitation. And stupid like I am, I wouldn't come. So these people are so incredible. He loved the Riverwalk. They built a Riverwalk through Kumamoto, Japan.
Like San Antonio.
Like San Antonio. And so when the opening of this building happened, Mayor Tajiri had the band come perform or something like that. Now, what is this cotton picker doing? I mean,
in the middle of the rising sun, man. That's
yeah. And at one time, I thought I'd want to retire in Japan. I just love the culture, the people, and the whole thing.
that's
But
awesome.
those are blessings that So I wouldn't change anything other than going to school because everything. Los dichos. There's so many of them. No hay bien que por mal no venga. Something goes bad, something good pops up.
Yeah.
And if you have the patience, which I'm now working on to be a little more patient and tolerant, things will always work out.
Yeah.
And when I just push certain things and they don't work out, you only got yourself to blame.
That's it.
That's what Fats Domino said.
Yeah. Joe, you last year was a tough year for you.
Yes.
It was a very tough year for you, and I only saw it again through social media. I sent my condolences on the cell phone, but listening to you before earlier as we were talking, I heard you say something that just stuck in my head. Like, do you think that this is the first time in your life that you've kind of retreated a little bit from doing something that you've done your whole life? Losing the love of your life. Do you think that it's kind of retreated you a little bit into a corner where now you're just now starting to come out and move some stuff around and try to come back out?
You're correct. That has taken place. I didn't deserve my wife, but like I said, I'm a lucky guy. In 1955, when I remember the very first time I saw her sitting at a bench in una Jamaica, but I was too shy, and it took a little while when we finally met. But we knew each other for 69 years. This February would have been 63 years of marriage. And but in 1955, when my dad was in prison, I was starting my music career, and she was already helping. She worked with her mother cleaning a church, and she made $2, and sometimes she'd loan me, which I don't remember if I paid her back or not, 50 cents to buy gas to go to the shows, to do my gigs.
Yeah.
Gasoline was 15, 16 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
Sometimes she'd borrow her dad's car, and we were really not even supposed to be driving to make it. She'd make vests for me as we got started for the band. So she was always part of my career. When my dad was in prison, she was helping my mom with the kids even, She just became family. So in 1962, we married. And Tony Matamoros.
He was your best man?
Yes, he was. And his wife.
He wasn't the foreman yet, though.
Not yet.
No, he wasn't the foreman yet. He was just the best man.
So I'm working at a factory where they manufacture pants, men's pants, and I take off a Wednesday morning to go get married. And no, actually the afternoon. And we go get married, and we go eat at a little restaurant there, and that was it. Next day I go back to work.
No honeymoon, there's no honeymoon.
It took from 62 to 91 when I finally got the Japan first tour. Come on, honey, we're going on a honeymoon.
It's 72, 82, almost, that's 29 years, Joe.
I'm kind of slow. I'm a little slow at certain things.
Oh my goodness!
But that was when our only honeymoon took place.
That's awesome. Well, I'm happy. Like I had a lot of friends in Victoria this weekend, and I got to talk to Frank. Frank's a sponsor of Bumpers Wacky Wednesday, Frank Salazar, and I talked to him yesterday. He goes, "Man, dude, I could just be having the worst day. The minute Joe starts singing, everything goes away, and I'm just." He's focused in on your performance, and you know what, Joe, is growing up, going back to my parents and my grandparents and my tios, like, little Joe, and to this day, it's like if little Joe's coming to town, it's like it's a big thing. It's a huge thing. I remember everybody, like all my dad's compadres, my mom's friends, like everybody would get ready, like, hey, we gotta go to Wieners, we gotta buy something to wear, like you know.
Little Joe's coming. Maybe he'll pay me what he owes me.
But I grew up in Beeville, so the place was yeah, with Joe Moron in the El Dorado Convention Center. But even before then, before I was just dusting, not dusting the wind, but I was just probably somewhere running around. I wasn't even existing. But we had Las Flores.
Yes.
We had the Tropical Ballroom. You played at all those. I know you did.
The Tropical Ballroom, Joel Rodriguez, the Rodriguez family there, we timed it, or he timed it. And I'm playing the Tropical Ballroom and take a break. And I go to the payphone that was on the wall. I don't know if you remember. You walk in, there was a payphone. Hey, what do they call him? El Güero, I think they call him El Güero. Hey, vato, we're talking to him. He's in Vietnam. And I'm hearing, and how things, aquí estoy en vivo, you know, he's calling me from Vietnam,
man.
while a firefight's happening. I could hear all that in the background, man. What? No te oigo.
That's wild. That's wild.
Bueno, borrado. It's been so long, I forget. But yeah, man, it was just classic, man. I don't know how these things happen, but that one time was, after it's all said and done, that's me, you know. Yeah, and then when it settles, it's like, did that just happen to me? But I could hear all that.
Everything in the background.
Oh man!
And you know what too, Joe. I have to tell you, and what we admire about you is you always give gracias to all the veterans, and all your performances. You always give a shout out to the veterans, and that means a lot to us. And you know, I was a product of the Iraq and the Afghani conflicts, right? And I always said to myself, you know what? No Tejano artist, no Chicano artist, nobody made a song. Nobody made a song that was like for our time. But you made a song for all those Vietnam veterans.
There's a couple of songs, El Soldado Raso.
Soldado Raso.
That was like, it is my family's, the military side of my family's song. One of my uncles fought in World War II. My oldest brother in Korea, my second two tours in Vietnam. Their kids, I'll get back to this in a minute, but my oldest sister, 4 kids and her husband, they all served over 20 years, 119 years of military service. 3 boys and a girl, and the girl outranked them. And she was at the Pentagon when it was hit, and she was injured, but not badly, gracias a Dios. But my grandson, I mean, there hasn't been a conflict since World War II that somebody in my blood and family was in involvement.
That's awesome.
You know, the girls, my nieces, you know, my cousins, you know. So we started adding up, you know. My oldest brother, airborne, 22, 23 years. My second oldest, lo mismo, you know.
Yeah.
So we put all these years together and tried to figure, man, there's over 450 years of military service from this family. How can I not be so proud, you know?
Yeah,
not only that, but desgraciadamente vemos lo que sucede with our veterans on the corners of the street begging. I mean, these are veterans that, you know, we don't know, we owe them our freedom, and not just our thank yous, and we owe them more than we can ever pay them.
Exactly.
We owe, this country owes them, you know? So, yes.
You think...
You know, you made me a little weary there.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about, right there.
I was just waiting for the right moment.
El Soldado Raso, that song, what made you... How did that song come about?
Well, it's been in the family, as I said, for many years. Me voy de soldado raso, voy a ingresar a las filas con los valientes muchachos que dejan madres queridas, que dejan novias llorando, llorando su despedida. One of the verses, la Virgen Guadalupana protegerá mi bandera. Ahí volveré de sargento cuando se acabe la bola. Nomás una cosa siento, dejar a mi madre sola. That's some tough lyrics, man.
Those and it. I mean, they hit me like a ton of bricks. My mom, my grandmother. Like every time I heard that song. A matter of fact, I'm gonna be honest with you. I played that song inside an assault amphibious vehicle for everybody to hear. We would wire a CD player into the intercom system, so we would take turns. Everybody had a day. Well, they knew that when it was my day, we were gonna play a lot of Spanish music, and I remember. Matter of fact, Joe, I actually listened to that song. This is the God honest truth. I listened to that song 30 minutes before we actually crossed in the middle of the night into Iraq in 2003, March 23rd. I made myself listen to that song because, you know, I've had artists here and I've told them, and then I'm sure over the years that you've been helping veterans and doing stuff all over the world, you don't realize how much music means to veterans, how much music means to us when we're gone. And you did that for the Vietnam veterans, right? Like the Vietnam veterans that they were able to hear one of your songs over there, it reminded them of home.
I used 1968. I started my first record company, Buena Suerte Records, and I recorded La Guerra Ya Me Llevan in one of the albums. And back then, we'd get 25 albums in a box, and I would ship box after box after box to Vietnam, and I still get some incredible stories, you know, Joe. And one guy me juró that they were using my songs, the melodies, to transmit some codes. You know that.
Wow.
They use the melody, cantaban la code. You hear them.
Hey, so we've heard of the Navajo code talkers, but have you heard of the Little Joe code talkers, baby?
Isn't that amazing?
That's awesome,
So you
man.
hear the Chicanos singing a song, but it's they're. You said, no, I thought that was
That's awesome, Joe. That's awesome. So
one verse about, and this is for the veterans. La Virgen Guadalupana protegerá mi bandera. Ay, cuando me hay en campaña muy lejos ya de mi tierra, les probaré que mi raza sabe morir donde quiera. Al alba.
wow.
That's it.
And-
Aquí va otro chicanito que va a jugarse la vida y se despida cantando que viva la patria mía. I mean, that's a good fighting song.
It definitely is, and it hits every bone in your body. Again, and I'm speaking for myself, and I'm sure there's a lot of veterans out there from the first Gulf War, from Vietnam. You have touched us in a way that nobody in our culture has done in Chicano culture. And the last time you were here, let me tell you guys about that. This is Wacky Wednesday.
Wait
We're
a
all over
minute.
the place.
If it's that
Well,
wacky,
let's do it.
I better
here.
tune up just a little bit.
And for everybody out there, make sure you got your shot. Joe's doing a shot. You got to do a shot. I got to remember this ain't Itapenas.
I'm good at interrupting. Go ahead.
So here I was on a Friday night. Matter of fact, I think Carlos is here.
Yes, he is.
stepped in.
He's our hookup.
Trumpet, trumpet player. So here I am on a Friday evening. I'm drinking tequila by myself, and I would do this thing called Frito Pie Fridays because people were coming from the football games, going home, and I would play I would get new music, so I would just play it on Facebook, and people would listen and watch the show. And somebody asked me, like, "Hey, man, you're doing these interviews. Like, if you could interview somebody, who would it be? If you could just do one?" And I said, "Little Joe, hands down, Little Joe." And I think like 15 or 20 minutes passed, and my phone, I get a FaceTime call from my phone from a number that I don't know. And I'm live, Joe. I'm live on the little show where my little thing that I was doing here, and I look and it's you, and you're like, "Hey man, we're here. We're traveling to Colorado. We're in the RV, but I heard you want me to be there. I'm gonna be there. So you get with Carlos. We're gonna make it happen. I'm gonna be, and I'm sitting. I mean, this is in my." Carlos, what it had to have been my first year of doing the show.
Well, that was
probably, and I was just you hung up, we hung up, and I literally cried on the air with people watching. Like, dude, that was Little Joe just called, and he just promised me that he was going to be here, and as promised, you came, but you had another engagement to do later that evening. But it was such a great interview. I remember two of your people that you had were saying like, Joe, we gotta go. You're like, no, we're good. We're good. I'm having a great time here, right? So I always remember that. And then when we talked to Carlos again and he's like, hey Joe, okay, let's do it. Like I would love to have Little Joe back on. So that was my first time with Little Joe, and then every time I've seen him in concert, whatever, he's always showed me a lot of love. We have somebody in common as well. Salutes to the Quinn family from Beeville, Texas. Miss Barbara Quinn was a huge Little Joe fan. Her and her husband. I always love to hear the story when you were playing a show in Alaska and she shows up and you're just looking at her like, there's no way. Like, what was she? Beeville, Texas. And here she is in Alaska.
Anchorage, Alaska.
Yeah, man. So, no, Joe, and to this date, any interviews that I've ever done, that's always a question that's brought up. Like, hey, who have you had? And I'm just like, Little Joe. Like Little Joe, a lot of pictures that people have done, other little clips of me or little things. It's always the picture of me and you having a conversation. So you help validate Bumpers Wacky Wednesday as like, okay, Little Joe's here.
Well, let me tell you, Carlos, I just, hey man, I know this guy is podcast, and like I told you earlier, especially since my wife's passing, like, no, they're little beginners, and I said, well, it'll help them, if it helps them, I'll do it. But at the time, it's like, who is this guy and what's the guy? No, man, he's big time. He's well.
I don't think I'm big time, but
well, Carlos told me you were. He said, no, man, this is it, man. This is the top. And I like to do the top.
No,
Thank you, Carlos.
It is an honor to have you here, Joe. And I think looking at all the comments, like there's a perfect ones. Like Little Joe is art. He's the people's artist. You have always been who we are. You're a guy that's been to the White House plenty of times and performed.
And I didn't smoke. They were out of it.
Don't tell you think you would have done that?
I'm going to tell you a story that's one of the generals.
Top secret?
Yeah, tell me the names of the generals.
General Ayala was the one.
Not Ayala, and the other one is they just named Fort Hood.
Benavides? No, not Benavides. Cavazos. Yeah, Fort Cavazos.
It was General Cavazos. I'm doing a show. No, it's not even a show. I'm there for some kind of event in Laredo, and the mayor from Kingsville, dear friend, who was in Washington D.C., who was head of the FBI
He was a big guy in the FBI.
He took me. He was from Kingsville. Hey, before he was a DJ, he played on my music. Little Joe, I'm playing in Washington, D.C., some big event. I got to take you through the FBI where we train them and stuff. And my wife's with me. So I said, oh, yeah, I'd love to go, man. We walk in the FBI building, turn around, and somehow I look in my pocket and a joint falls out. And I was like, in the FBI building. And somebody, they always give me stuff, and I just like, And I looked around and there's laying on the floor, man. And I asked him, and he said, "What happens over there? What do y'all do there?" And the minute I turn around over there, like,
Oh my!
and how gacho I am. Chris, hold this for me. This is my wife. I'm surprised she didn't turn me in.
Wow, Joe, you gave it to your wife to hold?
Yeah, I said, "Devil will search you, baby." But we're in the FBI building. So years go by, and we're in Laredo doing this event. It was some kind of awards and military. And I'm telling the story, and General Cavazos is there. And I go through the whole thing. And of course, that was a long time ago, and blah, blah, blah. And then he gets up to speak after I'm done. He said, "Oh, little Joe, may I remind you that there's no, what do you call it?
Contraband, no illegal contraband.
You're still liable."
Wow, man, wow.
As I said, blessings.
Joe, but if there was somebody that could get away with probably just sitting in the backyard of the White House, just sitting there toking one out with no worries in the world,
Well,
it would be little Joe.
It runs in the family because my uncle La Araña, my dad's brother, La Cotorra is my dad, La Araña is his brother. And this is back in the mid-50s, I guess. They pick him up, they take him in, he's got a joint in his pocket. It's the police station. And what are you doing with this? And, I was walking downtown right in front of the National Bank, and the funny looking cigarette, so I'll pick it up and put it in my pocket. I mean, damn, le creyeron.
Wow,
they let him go, but years later, my dad paid for it.
Wow. That's and you know what, Joe? Like, people can relate to you. I think that's something that little Joe has been able to do. People can relate. You're one of us. You're Raza. You know what I mean?
Too much.
Too much. But no, it makes you special, man. It really does.
Well, thank you.
You know what? Before we get into, we're gonna get into the music, the late 70s, early 80s, right here. But we're gonna go right here to a quick commercial break.
Looking to purchase your dream home or what to sell your existing home? Call our friend Ricky Ray, the realtor, at 956-424-5724. He will help you get approved. No credit, low credit, no problem. So give him a call today at 956-424-5724.
Hey guys, it's Leo Correa with Grupo La Calma and Internet and Marketing Manager here at Ron Hoover RV and Marine Center in Odessa, Texas. Our General Manager, Mr. Anthony Patterson, a huge fan of Tejano music. So we are proud to announce that we are proud sponsors of the Bumpers Wacky Wednesday. Every Wednesday, guys, if you know anyone, family member, friends, that is in the market right now, make sure you come by and visit us here at Ron Hoover RV and Marine Center in Odessa, Texas. You can visit us online, www.ronhoover.com. If you're in the market for a fifth wheel, we have both C classes, A classes. We have travel trailers, everything that you need to make memories with your family. Come by over here. We're located at 1529 East 2nd Street. 1529 East 2nd Street here in Odessa, Texas, or give me a call. Our cell phone number is 210-906-3796. We're here for you guys, and come by and see why everyone's talking about Ron Hoover of Odessa, Texas, your West Texas. Yes, guys. Vámonos.
Blue Agave Travel proudly presents Tejanos in Paradise 2026. No passport required, selling out of the Port of Galveston with a full-service casino, dancing, and more. February 1st through the 7th on Carnival Cruise Ship Dream. Register today, 512-375-5711, or go to TejanosInParadise.com.
Are you a disabled veteran unsure if you're receiving all the benefits you deserve? Contact Just for Veterans, Coach Retired Sergeant Major United States Marine Corps, Oscar Ornelas at 951-388-4072. With a deep passion for serving veterans from all branches, he specializes in VA ratings to ensure you receive what you've earned for serving our nation. At Just for Veterans, getting your disability claim processed is now straightforward, thanks to our veteran design system. Don't delay. Book your consultation today with Oscar Ornelas at 951-388-4072. Remember to mention you've seen this ad on Bumper's Wacky Wednesday. Just for Veterans, if you don't win your claim, you don't owe us anything. Your benefits matter, and we're here to help.
Imagine a porch that protects itself, a door that locks on its own. Imagine being in two places at once, lights that work like magic. Imagine what you could do in a home like that. Now, stop imagining. Call Laura Hernandez at 210-262-8402 to start protecting your family and home with Vivint today.
¿Qué me hubiera gustado saber antes de comenzar mi proceso de inmigración? Que con Villa Immigration Lawyers no estás solo. En Villa creemos en un servicio de inmigración diferente. No somos solo abogados, somos tus compañeros en este viaje hacia tu nuevo hogar. Llámale al attorney René Sarasúa al 210-97-910-18. En Villa eres parte de nuestra comunidad y de la familia Villa. Estamos aquí para apoyarte en cada paso del camino. Con Villa Immigration Lawyers, no estás solo. Comencemos este viaje juntos y hagamos de Estados Unidos tu nuevo hogar. Lleva tu música al siguiente nivel con bajos sextos M3. Bajos sextos y bajo quintos, 100% profesionales, hechos a mano con la mejor calidad. Perfectos para cubrir todas tus necesidades musicales y a precios accesibles. Llama ahora al 2102-041903 o búscalos en Facebook e Instagram. Bajo Sextos M3. La música comienza aquí.
And we're back. Ladies and gentlemen, if you just joined us, we're live in the studio here in San Antonio on Bumper's Wacky Wednesday with the legend himself, Mr. Little Joe. This is the first half of the show. This guy is just, one, he's hilarious. Right?
I thought you were going to say, the guy's full of them.
No,
I was waiting for that.
He is very hilarious, and I know a lot of you guys have been waiting. You guys want to know about the music. But you know, sometimes when I do these interviews, I really like for people to get to know a little bit other than the stuff that you hear a lot. That he's done in music, and you know, Little Joe's he's done that. He's been that guy for us. So we'll start this half of the show, this latter half of the show, Joe, with you started in the 60s in music.
50s.
In the 50s, but what would you say you came here in 1962?
61.
With the record label.
Yeah. El Señor Rangel.
There you go.
Yeah.
The music you played, you started off with, you said, you started with English, and because you just didn't know the crowd that you were gonna perform for, right? You had to know everything.
I did English and Spanish because, like I said, some nights would be all white country, some nights all black, and some nights all Chicanos. So that's in order to perform for the different audiences. I learned whatever the music was at the time.
Yeah.
Whether it was country or whatever was happening in the black, community, the music.
Yeah.
And of course, the Chicano music that I learned from my dad and my uncles and aunts and compadres of my papa. And so I just started music that way and said, I continue to do that.
What was the very first song that you wrote?
Oh, gee, I think I gave it to an artist, Big Lou. ¿A poco no te gusta como te amo? But I wrote the songs and gave them to other artists because I wasn't sure they were credible.
Give it to them. Let them try it first.
And you know what? You got a big hit off of it. It's like, I want
my
my song
goodness.
back.
That's hilarious. No, so Joe, let's go to like late '60s, beginning of the '70s, right? Again, before I was born, but no. In all seriousness, like I love to learn the history of where we've evolved from, right? Where it came from. So in the '60s and '70s, I mean, Vietnam was going on. There was so many things going on in the country. Where did you fit in at? Like, where did you just say, hey, we're gonna run with this with Little Joe and the Latin years? Like, where did you decide that you were gonna run out and just do that?
Well, musically, just wherever they listen to me. but I was born, raised till the age of almost 12 in a totally black neighborhood. So when the civil rights came around in the 60s, I had already experienced all the, and I remember the very first time I became aware of segregation. I was just a 6-year-old kid at a theater there at downtown Temple. But when I moved out of the black neighborhood, which was my family and one other family, Lopez, that moved across the street from us, my grandparents and un tío y tía that lived on that street in that neighborhood. It was just black neighborhood. So I was listening to black music from the little jukeboxes in the little taverns and in my friends' homes where we, sometimes stay over with them. And, and they were all black kids. So when 1951, I was about 11 years old, we moved out of that Henderson Street, El Barrio, the black neighborhood, to 10th Street. And that's where I met Tony Matamoros, and I saw more Chicanos. It's like, whoa.
There's more of us.
There's more. I must be older than I knew. And so, but by then, I had already experienced and becoming aware of racism and segregation. And as a kid, you overlook these things because you don't understand them. I didn't. But as I got older, and with my dad going to prison and my brothers in the military, and the civil rights came about in the 60s, and I knew whose side I was on. I knew where I belonged, I knew where I came from, and I know who I would applaud and champion, because through the years, La Raza have been thrown together with the blacks and the cotton fields. That's who you saw there,
Yeah.
So the music, entwined with that, So that's why you hear me sing Prieta Linda, for example, or Ella. Me cansé de rogarle. I'm singing the blues. It's a Mexican song, but I'm singing the blues. That's what I'm feeling. When you hear Por un amor, para un amor, I'm hearing rock and roll. That's how I got started here. Wasted days and run. That's rock and roll. I'm just singing good old Mexican songs to that. So it's not the language, it's the feeling. Los campos cuando sal. I'm hearing country. I'm feeling country, not hearing it. That's who I am.
Yeah.
So it's not the language only. So it's no big deal for me to go from one language to the other musically. That's
what you feel.
That's who I am, and I think that's a blessing coming from where I did, because when I hear the blues, ouch.
Wow.
Because I remember my childhood days in the black neighborhood.
Yeah.
When I heard mariachis, they're like, double ouch. That's me. So people may or may not understand. Why does Joe go through all that? And some people only want this, only want that. I want everything musically.
Yeah. Joe, you still have friends from the black neighborhood that you're still
Yes, I
friends
do.
with today?
Yes, I just got one, and I'm ashamed I haven't come back. Junebug.
Wow. Saludos to our friend Junebug Gonzalez, equal to Jimmy Gonzalez.
Junebug. And they're from the same street. He's in Houston. And Walker, there's another guy. He's in Houston as well. These are the kids. All the other black friends have died off. They're a little younger than I am.
Mm-hmm.
But those are the kids I grew up with in that same Henderson Street in Temple.
That's amazing. See, Joe, like these are the things that I would have never known. Like, how did you? Now it makes sense because you grew up like that. You took your surroundings and you brought it into your own music, right?
So it's no big trick for me to slide from one thing to the other, And I guess the trick is to stop being country and go into a blues. Just turn around.
Yeah.
But the feeling has to turn. So it doesn't mean the instrumentation or the song. It's all about the feeling. If it feels country, it's country.
Yeah.
And that's what I did with Los Campos, which is such a beautiful song. And Domingo Peña was the one that kept bugging me till I recorded it. And I thank him for that because it's such a incredible
one of your
standard.
Biggest hits right there.
Yeah. It's just been an incredible journey. And I'm considering, I'm getting ahead of myself here, but I may come up with another book title, My Incredible Life's Journey, because there's so much that I want to share that I didn't in the first book. Because the first book, I wanted to spotlight my family.
Right.
And my wish was that the reader would be inspired. And gracias a Dios, the first award was the most inspirational nonfiction. No llores chingón. And it continued to win awards. The last award was the Best Family History Award. And that category was not in the club, in the book club.
Yeah.
So it prompted a new category.
So Joe, how does somebody, earlier you mentioned that, you wish you would have had a better education. How does somebody go about writing a book? Did you have somebody like you were like speaking?
I dictated the book.
Dictated. Okay,
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah.
There you go.
Nobody ever got to spell my name. But you won't blame me. How the hell do you spell Jose Maria de Leon Hernandez?
Oh my goodness!
I can barely spell Lidio.
I just think again, you represent us so well. That's what I love about you the most, man. It's just the way you represent who we are. And here you go, 60s and 70s, and the orchestra music is just banging. I mean, it's...
Well, let me tell you something about representing ourselves in the 60s and 70s. There was a lot of us that didn't want to be us. They didn't want to be Martinez. They were Martinez. They didn't want to pronounce our names.
I think we still have some of those.
Oh, yeah. I'm Joe Hernandez. I don't say Hernandez. And if they don't understand me, it's like, they laugh at us or did at me at times, because you mispronounce a word, but it's not Santa Cruz, it's Santa Cruz. And if you can say it correctly.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, say it correct.
Mm-hmm.
And just so many of those words that, if I was as gacho as some have been with me, it's like, I'd point that out, you speak correct. Aren't you American? Learn Spanish, you're American. But
oh my goodness.
So the movement, the civil rights and all that, how did I get here? A very difficult path, very. But when I was young and I wanted to represent us, and that's all I've ever wanted out of my music. I try to do it as best as I can, but my goal is to representar nuestra cultura. That's above all. It's like, what's your music about? It doesn't matter if it's jazz, rock and roll, blues, country, mariachi, conjunto, whatever. I do it as well as I can, but with that pride. Traveling through all of Europe and all of Japan, seeing the people glued to it, it's amazing. Las Nubes, there's it was on YouTube, two little Japanese kids. One's playing guitar, the other one singing Las Nubes in English and Spanish. You know, that Las Nubes.
No son los gatos de Japón.
They may be.
There's some Japanese guys. They come every year They come to the Conjunto Festival and they come to the thing, and they're called los right, Eddie? Los gatos de Japón. Something like that. Los gatos de Japón.
Might be them.
That might be them because they might have been younger when they're older now, but that might have been them when they were younger.
So, you know, well, this guy that we're doing the tour, driving us around, I hear them humming. I always had the desire to translate the
Japanese version,
Japanese language.
Uh-huh.
Maybe I got a little time, I can still do it. But your question as to how did I get here? How do I represent La Raza? I think that I can best do a job representing us by being who I am. You know, I can't fake me. I gotta be, for better or worse, or I'm not concerned with that. And having come this far, when I realized that, I'm popular and I'm making money, it's too late for me to quit. Well, there went my dream of being an attorney, a civil rights attorney, out the window. But now I got to go around.
Yeah, no.
But to answer your question, I don't find that difficult. I think for me, it's just being me.
Be natural.
That's all I can be.
Yeah.
And if all of us were to realize that we all have a God gift, you know. And there's some really great thieves, you know. That's what they are. They're good at it.
They're good at stealing.
Only they get caught, but, well, that's the law. But we all have a gift. And I think I found mine quite early. And that was just, I can't be something I'm not. And people credit me too much for something that I know I'm not. I'm not as good a musician or talented as they think I am. I think I think my gift lies in being able to reach your soul through music.
Yep.
You know.
Exactly.
Reach the people. You know, make them cry, make them sing, make them dance. Now it's intentionally, but.
Oh, you go to a Little Joe. Ladies and gentlemen, if you go to a Little Joe show, ponte el seatbelt porque vas a estar así. You're gonna go up and down. It's gonna be a roller coaster ride, definitely. And when I heard you earlier, you say, "Well, nothing for me to go from soul to country to, you know what I mean?" And that's what you're gonna get at a Little Joe show. You're gonna get all of those things. And you know what, Joe, is that I really believe that Chicanos here, we sometimes overlook how beautiful our culture is, and how we've adapted and taken from here and there to become who we are.
Missing out on our ability.
Yeah. Oh, but you know, here lately, I just been seeing a lot of people, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, like they want to be something that, or they just, to me, sometimes they just show more love to something that's really not us, right? Instead of who we are, and that's okay.
Sure.
That's fine.
To each his own.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just I think you really did a great job. Like I've said this all night, of representing who we are. Period. Point blank. You know what I'm saying? And Joe, another thing is, you were always a pioneer of the music. You never stayed in a box. Just when you think this was Little Joe, this is the music you were gonna get, he would do something that was outside. You're like, a la madre, dude. Like, but you were the person that could get away with that.
Well, one, I'm not afraid to learn.
Yeah.
And I listen. You know, that's the best way to learn. Listen and appreciate. You know, music is just such an incredible art. It's the only art in life that can make a little baby, a year-old baby, or a 90-year-old person, you know,
move around.
Yeah, or sway, rock, and you know that. And a little child, you know, even babies in their cribs, you know, they're already play. Yeah. You hum to them, and they're already, you know, that. All humanity, you know. we should, for me, it's been that gift to be able to convey that feeling. You know, it's not rock and roll, it's not mariachi, it's not country if it doesn't feel
right.
It's all about feeling. So for me, my biggest escape, my biggest freedom is when I'm in the middle of a song. I'm just so free, you know. And I understand now when slaves would, you know, the gospel that comes from slaves and stuff, their freedom was through the chants and the singing. You know, I may be a slave to myself, but I get that freedom from
for that time in that song. You're free.
It's just, and to being able to convey that, you find your freedom. You find yourself singing or dancing or crying, or you get emotional.
And you're definitely gonna get emotional.
You're
gonna get emotional at Little Joe's show.
I may sing flat or sharp or out of beat or whatever. You know, I'm just not that great a musician. But el sentimiento y la alma is always there.
And people can feel it.
And you know, so nothing else matters. You know, it's just delivering that.
And speaking of music, right here on Bumpers Wacky Wednesday, every week we bring you What's Bumper Bumping. And that is that. Joe, check this out. So we bring you What's Bumper Bumping. So we take new music that's out there, and we put it in a little 2-minute little segment, so people can, you know, maybe they're not listening to the Hot Tejanos, maybe they're not listening to the 95.7s or the K Alamos, right? Maybe they're not. And here's some music that you guys, you know, people say, oh, there's a lot of new music, right? And this week is brought to you by our good friend Jammin' G, 830-281-0538. That's 830-281-0538. Jammin' G, bringing to you this week, What's Bumper Bumping?
It's time to check out What's Bumper Bumping.
Bebé, yo quiero vivir contigo. Llegaste a mi camino para amar. Si nunca te hubiera conocido, sé muy bien había un gran vacío en mí. Por eso yo pierdo el control cuando no estás aquí.
What's Bumper Bumping?
Amarillo by morning, up from San Antone. Everything that I've got is just what I've got on. When that sun is high in that Texas sky, I'll be bucking at the county fair. Amarillo by morning, Amarillo, I'll be there. They took my saddle in Houston, broke my leg in Santa Fe. Lost my wife and a girlfriend.
What's Bumper Bumping?
Es el contrato entre los dos. Si yo no te hacía feliz, dirías adiós. Si yo no te hacía feliz, dirías adiós. Pero te vas a arrepentir cuando veas que no es nada su riqueza comparada con lo que yo a ti te di.
And that is this week's What's Bumper Bumping?
I am laughing. I just got a text on there, right? Somebody told me to look over and look at Little Joe and say the word caca.
Caca.
John Ontiveros, La 45.
I knew it was.
Speaking of La 45, tomorrow night they're going to be with a good friend of yours. Is it tomorrow night, Eddie? Yes, tomorrow night right there. It's going to be at Jaime's Place, 1514 West Commerce Street. Rubén Ramos and La 45, the CD release party starting tomorrow at 6 o'clock. $10 gets you in. It's going to be a good time. The weather's absolutely beautiful. Have you ever been to Jaime's? It's open. That's where I did my 5th year anniversary show. It's a great place, great guy, and you can't go wrong with La 45 on Ruben Ramos. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're live here with the king of the brown sound, Mr. Little Joe. Joe, do you remember the first time that somebody called you the king of the brown sound?
I'm trying to forget it. No, I don't. I've been called so many things, but that kind of just stuck. And you know, again, my blessings. I received, you know, there's 5 Grammys. I have a star at White City, America, the Palm Springs. You're talking about Frank Sinatra and Bing Crosby and Elvis Presley.
And you got your
Little
star there.
Joe, only 5. And there I am. I do una mosca, brother. But all these blessings, you know, that have come my way. But that King of the Brown Sound, I don't know where it came from, but when I received the utmost and most prestigious award that any artist can receive, the NEA, National Endowment for the Arts Award, was what, a year ago or 2 years ago. I kind of laughed at myself because they're talking about Little Joe doing the little this, and that's why he's king of the brown sound. And like, I'm in Washington D.C. accepting this. That's the highest award in the United States.
Yeah.
For an artist, any artist. And I'm thinking back again. You know, sometimes things happen in my mind while I'm there, while alive and well. And that was one of the times that I'm a cotton picker, but and here I am, you know, with all these wonderful people and artists, and I hear this King of the Brown sound. I said, well, you know, it could be caca.
Oh my goodness!
And I'm downtown. We played the. I'm just getting carried away.
No, you're good. You're good. It's Wacky Wednesday. You're fine, Joe. You're fine. You're fine.
And people that really know me know I wanted to be a jazz guitarist. I love jazz. My first love for music. Downtown London, we had just played the embassy, so I'm already feeling high, you know. I just played the American Embassy in London, England, you know. And we go to, and we're riding one of those double-decker buses, and it stops. They have a Cheers and a corner, like the Cheers.
The bar, the Cheers bar, yeah.
And we get off, and I'm looking around. It's like, what inspires me to write a song? Different times, different things, you know. And I'm looking around London, and I always like to absorb the people. Observing people, I think, is good for me. And so I come up with, I see lovers everywhere. People feel the magic in the air, but my heart is still with you. People chatting here and there on a crowded avenue, but my heart is still with you. All the nights we spent alone, no TV, no telephone, candlelight, me and you. Now I'm here in London town. I'm alone, but I'm not down, 'cause my heart is still with you. And just the song just happened on the spot, man. Just freaky. But I come back to realization, King of the Brown Sound. I'm a cotton picker, man.
I'm just amazed that you know all these lyrics to all these songs, man.
I write them up better, or my royalties won't come in. No. But it's a jazz tune, you know, and I've written certain jazz tunes that I have not recorded. But, you know, if I may, that brought me to my heart is still with you. But my losses in October, my wife died Thursday, October 10th, and I had to be in LA the next day, October 11th. And it was the hardest thing for me to do. But as I told you, from the very beginning, she was there supporting me. I knew I had to do that, and I did. I went off and did a couple of shows that were already promoted and ready to go. But October 10th and then October 14th, my oldest sister died 4 days later. And I love my sister. I love all my family. Lupe, she would have been 92 in December. And I mean, you know, no matter how you prepare yourself for it, you know it's going to happen. Nacimos para morir, nacimos. And then my youngest sister, 26, 27 days later, dies as well. Yeah. So I'm trying to get over the loss of my wife and my sisters. And, you know, I'm just like in a daze. And if you'll allow me, I think yes, I'm going to read the lyrics. So it flashed on me when you said about remember lyrics. 8 days later, I wrote the song for my wife. And I'll read it because I get emotional and I veer off the lyrics. But I couldn't sing it, and it was done possibly in a matter of an hour because I was in such a gloom, just deep despair and just a real dark place. And, you know, which I still go through some days. And back to your earlier question about, or my statement about not doing many interviews, you know, not wanting to kind of recluse myself. But I still haven't recorded it, and I've thought of ways to produce it. I have an idea from the beginning, but I've even asked someone to translate a couple of the verses. But the title of the song is Don't Know How to Live Without You, in parentheses, Criselida. I know that nothing is, I know that nothing is forever except the love I have for you. 'Cause when the angels came that morning, you took my heart and soul with you. Don't know how to live without you, 'cause without you nothing's true. If we had our lives to live again, it would still be me and you. You comfort me through all my sorrows. You gave me hope when I had none. It was your strength that kept me going. You never let me hit the ground. And I'm missing you, Criselida. And I don't know what to do. If there is an afterlife, my eternity's with you. You stood by me in times of trouble. When I was weak, you made me strong. It was a blessing to have loved you. To you I dedicate this song. Goes back to the bridge. And I'm missing you, Criselida. So, I'll get around to recording. I didn't want to break down, but I wanted to share that because that's part of healing. You know, when the children in South Texas fell in the Coca-Cola truck hit the bus with children, and they fell in a lagoon, and so many perished, so many died. About 3, 4 in the morning, the mayor of Alton called me and asked if I would come, because the parents were just hysterical, if I would come and speak to the people and just try to calm them down. course, I agreed. And I went and visited with the families. One family I walked in, and I immediately went back to my childhood. It was a one room with a tarp in the middle. And I remember when my dad was building our little house, we had a tarp to divide the room. Dirt floor. I was born in a dirt floor car garage. And it just really took me back to my own childhood. But I would speak to these families, to the parents. And I was a big little thing in the valley in those days. Little Joe. And I was doing commercials for Coca-Cola. So Atlanta from Coca-Cola called me, and they gave me quite a responsibility and a lot of authority. They said, Joe, whatever these people need on the spot, grant them. And, I didn't think I was worthy, but they allowed me. Just whatever they ask for, whatever they need, you say yes, call us back, and they'll get it. But his parents weren't looking or thinking about any of that at the time. So I visited. I stayed there a couple of days, went to some funerals. But when I went to the hospital there in McAllen, I'm walking in, and there's the cameras from Houston. I forget what station, on newspapers. They were all covering it. And they blocked me. They said, you can come in because of the media. And I said, I'm not with them. They're not with me. I'm here because the mayor from Alton asked that I come and, try to comfort the parents. Mm-hmm. So I turned around and I asked the media people, why are you guys doing this? The suffering that's going on. Why are you here? And he told me something my dad had told me many years back. He says, the sooner you talk about and face the reality, the sooner you start healing. And my dad was a very realistic guy. And he said, face the reality and you'll start to heal. You have to admit, nacimos para morir, or para morir nacimos, And I bring this up because I stumbled through that song, but that's part of my healing. I'm actually healing here on your show, and that's why before we came on the air, I thanked you for having me, and I accept it. And while I've been a little reclusive, and I have to be. People have been so wonderful, so kind. When I had the COVID, I got 1 million almost 200,000 views, and people that I'd forgotten about from Florida, from New York, from Hawaii, from just all over
the world.
Yeah, their prayers and their well wishes, and I had to shut down the phone for a couple of weeks, and my office kept telling them, Joe's okay, he's okay. But people are so kind, they're just, they would reach out to me that way. So when this happened again, when my family died, my sisters, my wife, I have not ever gotten back to the people to thank them. I do at the shows for their kindness. And I brought the lyrics to the show because I knew I would get emotional and I couldn't remember them. But the title, as I said, is Don't Know How to Live Without You, Criselida. And again, I thank you for letting me do part of my rebounding, the healing. And I wanted to do it in a public matter because this is the only way that I know that I can reach and thank these wonderful people that have been so kind. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Joe. Thank you, man. Thank you for all the years that you have taken us through different times in our life. There's just, you can always find a little Joe song that just touches you. En la buena, en la mala, like you know what I mean. There's songs that go with every part of your life, and the fact that you're on here being so transparent with your fans, just solidifies who little Joe is, man. It really just freaking hits. No matter what you're going through in this world, these guys aren't superhuman. They're human beings, just like me and you are. They go through things and stuff like that. But he says something that really hits, and you have to face it to start healing, right? That's what you said. Like
That's
it's part of the healing process.
Yes, and I wanted to. It's one thing to stay home and say it, but I wanted to be able to do this on your show because, as I said, people have been so kind and wonderful. I just wanted to have this outlet, this via your show, to darle las gracias al público that have been so kind. And I thank you for allowing me to do that.
No, Joe, thank you, man. Thank you for again, just for all the years of great music, for the continued years of great music, for and I think people forget sometimes, like, they could be going through something. I'm not talking about here recently, maybe years back. You could be sick, you could be whatever, but you got a contract. You have to perform, and you have to give us the show that people pay for, even though maybe you're not feeling it.
Oh man, that was my point about my wife passing on the 10th and me leaving, catching a flight out of Boston to LA on the 11th. Come back after the weekend. All the glory, I'm out there. It's a job that I love doing because it's reaching the people, and if I can make them happy, who doesn't want to be happy? Who doesn't deserve to be happy? Although there are some few grumps that they don't want to be. But, as I said, I've been touring 63 years. You know how many New Year's Eves, Christmases, holidays, marriages, funerals, birthdays, I was absent. And, I can't get that time back. But my family was understanding in the later years. I said, no more Christmases, no more Thanksgivings, And I've been blessed that for the few last years, we're home and it's a family affair. But so many of those dates that I should have been at home, I wasn't. And that's the sacrifice that not everyone is willing to make in their careers. It doesn't have to be music, any career that calls for sacrifice. And I can't say that I've been courageous. I could say I've been stupid, or I've been willing to bear the pain and accept the sacrifice in hopes that I'm doing something good. Not for me, but for all of us.
Yeah.
And as I told you earlier, I am who I am. My wish is to representar nuestra cultura, nuestra gente, by my gift, which is music.
And you've definitely done that for us. You've definitely done that. People, and we don't want to give away Joe's age, but Wikipedia. Yes, you can Wikipedia him. He'll tell you. He could tell you that he's 84 years old, right? You could. Am I off or am I on?
How old?
84.
I'm 84. I'm 84 going to 120.
There you go. So Little Joe has entertained generations of our families. It's just part of who we are. If you stop to think, 84 years old, he's been performing for over 60 years. 60 years he has been a part of who we are, not just here in Texas, in Mexico, all over the world. And we don't have time to. I wanted to talk about how loved he is in California. I told him before the show started. I said, I used to have friends from California, and I would say, "Hey man, put some Tejano music on," and they would be looking at me like I was crazy. Like, "Hey man, we only know 2 Tejanos, right? We only know Little Joe." And who do you think the other one was?
No sir.
Put me in jail
Sonny.
if I fail, right? Those two guys.
Yeah.
They always, you guys, they loved you in California, and California is just a different, it's a different vibe than nosotros Tejanos, right? But music has always brought us together, Little Joe, and you've always been the center of that. And before we call it a night, there's a special couple out there that know you personally. They've been married for 50 years. They're a big part of me. I love them. They're from the Midwest. They're part of the Mexican fiesta, right? There they are, right there on the bottom, right there.
Milwaukee?
Yes, right there.
I used to live around the Great Lakes.
Did you?
Oh man, I'd station myself in Saginaw, Michigan, and do all the states. I'd stay there a month and a half at times. Do all that.
Wow.
All that area, yeah.
You have the first. Look at that. Look at that right there. Man, congratulations
yes,
on
indeed.
50 years.
Yes.
Wow. Fella has her picture, Joe, in Milwaukee. She's actually both of them were part of the civil rights movement, and she actually I'm gonna give away Fella's criminal history background right here. But she was somebody who went to the university and demanded some stuff for Chicano students.
Great.
And a picture was taken when they took over the what's the guy in charge of the university? The chancellor or they took over
the dean.
The dean. They took over his office, and that picture is huge there in Milwaukee. But I wanted to do that for them. Congratulations on being married.
Oh, and a word about Sonny, if I may.
Dale.
We're at Auction Casino in Maricopa near Phoenix Saturday.
This Saturday.
And this Saturday. What I do, again, I'm so lucky. Casinos let me get away with a lot of stuff.
They give you free money to gamble?
They give me. Because they know I'm going to put it right back. Lo del agua al agua, but
oh my goodness.
But we're there Saturday, and last year I had Ruben. It's a beautiful room. It's the auction in Harris Casino and Resort in Maricopa. So Sonny was in my hometown at my rehearsal room last week, and Sonny, if you don't show up, Will O'Rourke, the drummer. Sings all your songs. This is that.
You fill in?
Will.
Yeah, Will. Yeah.
An incredible drummer, and I'm getting a little worried because he's singing my songs too. So for you guys in the Arizona, well, they come from all over. So we'll see you guys there. Hey, Sonny, gracias.
The last thing I want to ask Little Joe is there's a song that has become the Chicano national anthem.
I hate it.
But it's I mean, that's what people call it all over the United States. It's Chicano national anthem, Las Nubes.
It's so amazing.
Joe, when you first played that song, did you have any idea that song was going to be part of the movement and part of what it ended up becoming?
No, it's conjuntos, mariachis, high school bands, even middle school bands, the Fifth Army Band, university bands. Everybody sings, and they do a better job than me. That's the only thing I hate. But no, I actually recorded that song in a 3/4. Las nubes, before I recorded the way, but I was living, temporarily. I rented a house in San Jose, California. I was in Oakland, and then I moved the band, and the band was crazy enough to follow me. So,
this guy went with you?
Yes.
He's like, yeah.
So I had recorded Las Nubes before, but it was only like 2 minutes and 14 seconds because the radio wouldn't play, blah, blah, blah. So I'm there in San Jose, and I hit it right at the hippie movement and everything. I saw all the Latinismo that I would never experience in Texas. People converging, their artists, led musicians from all over the world. San Francisco, the Bay Area, and of course, Los Angeles. I became another person, or I didn't become another person. I became aware of something that I was no way could have here in Texas. And I wanted to change. I changed the name Latinaires to La Familia. And I wanted to do something special with the music. So Jose Gallardo was arranging for me. So I went off to smoke a joint.
Nah.
I wouldn't do that. But I left him in charge. I came back, and he played the arrangement for me. And I said, no, man, I'm hearing. So I didn't know how to explain halftime. So I sat with him at the piano and play a bolero, little strings. Da, da, da. Halftime. He says, oh, halftime? I said, yeah, halftime. What do I know about halftime? So no, I want this mariachi, trumpets, and in the middle, I want the saxophones. I put the whole arrangement together, and he orchestrated it beautiful. I came back to Dallas. I used the symphony strings, and Johnny and I, my brother, are in the studio. Okay, record the song, and we sing the song, and let's do another take, yeah. And we'll sing it again. And then, okay, Joe, which one do you want to keep? Take one or take two? Let me hear them. I couldn't tell the difference. I say, play them together. And they did. That's called stacking. I said, that's what I want. But there's two. I said, yeah. I just do things out of gut feeling.
Yeah, it's gut feeling.
And that's why you hear those double, the stacked vocals. And I said, yeah, I'll keep that. They look at me like, you're crazy. No, that's what I like. I don't know music formally. I'm not trained.
Yeah.
So nobody can tell me, or they can, and I'm just going to do what I think I should. But never did I imagine. So going from 2 minutes and 14 seconds to 5 minutes and 29 seconds, that's the length of the
song.
I said, and it just over and over, and it's gone worldwide. And, again, being so fortunate and blessed. But not everybody, not every artist in their lifetimes find their signature piece. And whether I like it or not, there it is. And, 71, I think it was. And when the farm workers accepted it as their marching song, it's like, wow, oh man, Dolores, I just wrote a song for Dolores because I wanted people to know that she
Dolores
coined.
Huerta.
Yes,
Yeah.
she coined Si Se Puede. But Cesar, everybody wanted to be around Cesar, and he would take time out, 3, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Joe, ven acá, to talk to me. And Las Nubes was part of all that, man. It's like,
so you had a personal relationship with Cesar?
Oh, very close. We got very close. I was in San Jose playing a club there and doing a radio show, like you do before the show, inviting the people. And then the guy, the locutor says, well, what do you think about Cesar Chavez? And what about him? Well, you know he's a communist because it pissed me off, man. And I said, you know what, guy? La gente y tú hablan porque porque tienen hocico. Otherwise, you don't know what the hell you're saying. And you're on the air. I don't give a shit. Like, off the air, on the air. I'm telling you that you guys don't know. So I hung up and I go back to the stage doing sound check. 3 minutes, 2 minutes. The guy at the bar, Joe, phone call. This guy didn't get enough of me. I thought it was a radio station. I pick up the phone. ¿Qué cabrón?
Wow.
Joe, little Joe, this is Cesar Chavez. I just want to thank you for your kind words and defending my name. Like, what? That's how I met Cesar, on the phone in San Jose, California.
That's what.
I was playing something for the Hollister people 3-4 years ago, and I bring up that story, and there's one of the guys there. Joe, I was riding with Cesar Chavez when he made that call. They actually pulled off to a phone booth. Yeah, we didn't have those phones. And he says, I was with Cesar. So we exchanged, addresses and stuff. And he wrote me a beautiful letter, which is included in the book. But that's how I met Cesar. And we just became fast friends. He was in Dallas doing an interview in the Dallas Morning News, I believe it was, in the newspaper. And I'm reading the article. I didn't know that Joe would take the 3-day fest, which I did. I fested for 3 days. Rory Kennedy passed the cross to me in Boston. So Cesar was talking about that in the interview. And he says, I didn't know that Joe would take 3 Fest for Life, that's what it's called. And he said, little Joe's a thinker. And what's a thinker? I thought, you know what? You smoke a joint and you start thinking. I thought that's what he was talking about. He can't possibly know that I'm a thinker.
That's, oh my goodness, man.
Gracias for all, man. Thank you so much.
No.
And we'll do this again. I know I feel better, and I need to do this, and I know and understand that because for years people come and comfort for me for comfort, and I tell them that sooner you face reality, you'll start healing. And I'm facing all those. I've had a lot of losses, and that's all. I think of things. I'm an automatic when I'm performing, when I'm singing. I'm not actually there. I'm there physically, but I'm thinking of other things. And the songs just, if I stop to think, I won't remember the lyrics. So I just let it happen, It's an automatic pilot. But I have a lot of scars, but I have much better, I've had a much better life than less, because I continue to, I'm just fortunate, man. I'm blessed.
No, for sure.
So no me importa. Now at this point, it's like, I got a little time to go. Once it's done, I want my ashes to be mixed with my wife's, and se acabó.
Se acabó el pedo.
Se acabó el pedo.
Se acabó el pedo right there.
Go to the next life and start again.
There you go. Well, before we get off, I want to talk about another a good friend of yours as well. Just started his retirement tour.
I didn't know I had one.
Yeah, he had another good friend. They're going to be in Austin, Texas, right? Bobby Polido, Roberto Polido, they're starting their tour. We got to see them here in San Antonio. But those of you guys in Austin, Texas, you're going to be able to enjoy they're going to be in Austin. What's the date, Eddie? Do we have it?
May 23rd.
It's coming through? Okay.
I love those guys, man. I love the whole family. I love them all.
Right there, La Puerta Grande Tour, Friday, 23rd of May at the Long Center in Austin, Texas, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow. Follow Bumpers Wacky Wednesday. You're going to be able to win a chance to win a pair of tickets to this event right here with El Primo Roberto Polido and Bobby Polido on the 23rd of May. So make sure you guys stay tuned and make sure you follow Bumpers Wacky Wednesday.
Wow, I love those guys.
It's been a show. This is definitely one for the books. I know a lot of people have Joey Rodriguez. We were talking to him before the show. He just commented. He said, "I've had the pleasure of working with Little Joe, and he's a true gentleman and a showman."
Oh, thank you, Joey. And there's a great piece about you in the Johnny Rodriguez book, A Piece of My Soul. He talks very kind about you. So read the book. You know Johnny Loco Rodriguez.
You're going to give him something to do now. We're not going to see Joey for 2 days. He's going to go get the book right now.
It's a great book.
Yeah. But, everybody that joined us, this is your first time joining. This is Bumpers Wacky Wednesday. We try to bring you the best in La Onda Tejana, Texas country, conjunto, you name it. If it has to do with our cultura, you'll find it right here on Bumpers Wacky Wednesday live every single week at 7:30. It has been just an amazing show for me. And no, the patron's not talking, right, Joe?
No.
The patron's not talking. It's been an amazing show to be in the presence of a pioneer in La Onda, a pillar in our music, not just our music, but our cultura, Little Joe. And I'm going to leave you guys with this. If you have kids and grandkids that are young, show them the music of Little Joe. Show them the importance of who he is, what he stands for, and who we are. To not forget who we are. Because that's what we're trying to do here on Bumpers Wacky Wednesday. Keeping Tejano relevant. And I appreciate you guys. Eddie, thank you for another amazing show. You did an amazing job. Let's give a little round of applause for the producer. Eddie Hernandez doing an amazing job behind the cameras. And Joe, thank you again for accepting our offer. It means a lot to me. And again, to everybody who watched tonight on YouTube and Facebook, you got to see a little different side of Little Joe. I can promise you that. And you know what? That's what it's about right there. That's what it's about. I want to end the show in the background, and maybe we'll get him. I can give him a little. He can maybe do a couple of words in there. But Eddie, can we end the show with Las Nubes like playing in the background as we end the show? Like,
oh,
you know what I mean? Maybe I'll give him like 2 more shots before we.
Can we start working on next week?
So don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, Maricopa, Arizona, this Saturday, right? Sonny Osuna, Little Joe, they're going to be in Maricopa, Arizona. What's the name of the casino?
Auction. Yeah, AC-Chin, CHIN. It's a Harris. I work real close with the Harris Casino or Harris Resorts casinos. So I'm not here. We just did San Diego and Laughlin, the Harris Casino there, the Fiesta Ballroom, or the Fiesta Room. I've been going there 6-7 years in a row, and I think I'm tiring the people out there. So no, he's back. But yeah, we work with a few of those casinos. Harris.
That's awesome. Well, guys, it's been a beautiful, beautiful show. Continue to watch, like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget, next week, right here on Wacky Wednesday, we're going to go on to the other side, we're going to have Grupo Secreto. It's going to be right here on the show, so make sure you guys tune in for that. We're going to end the show right here with the Chicano National Anthem, baby. Las Nubes from the king of the brown sound, Mr. Little Joe. You guys have a wonderful evening. We'll see you guys next week.
Hey, this is La Fiebre.
And stay tuned for
Bumper Wacky Wednesday.